Hello again, and welcome to my pint-sized kitchen. Today we're gonna be in the kitchen, in the tiny house, making these beautiful and delicious sourdough discard crackers. I just started recently making these and we're big fans. So without any more chit-chat, let's get into making these guys. The main ingredient you're going to need for this recipe is some nicely aged sourdough discards. I actually like to leave my discards on the counter for a couple of days so they can get even more funky for this recipe. Today we're making a fairly decent sized batch of crackers because that is what I want to do, but you are more than welcome to do a half batch of this recipe if that suits you better, especially if you want to just try it out. The first thing we're going to need is our very mature sourdough discard. I like to feed my sourdough with a 1:1:1 ratio, so that means equal parts flour, water, and discard. And then when it actually has aged, it's quite liquidy, and that's great for these crackers. So I'm going to go ahead and pour 600 grams of this discard into my bowl. Almost going to be all of it. The next ingredient I'm going to be adding is my coconut oil. I like to use refined coconut oil so that we don't have any coconut flavor. And I'm doing 90 grams melted. Next, this is my nutritional yeast, or as I like to call it, nooch. I'm just going to do 2 tablespoons of that. Like, honestly, you can do whatever you want with the nooch. It's just fun. Next, we are doing a good old tablespoon of salt. And today for funsies, I'm just going to do a teaspoon of garlic powder. Never done this before, but I thought, why not? It's really good without it, but I am also excited to put this in. We're going to go in with our seeds now. I am weighing this ground flax for 30 grams. Next is 30 grams of golden flax. This is a pretty flax heavy recipe, but I myself really love flax, so I'm okay with that. And hopefully you like flax too. Next is our chia seeds. I'm using dark chia seeds. We're doing 30 grams of that as well. And last, but certainly not least, is our sesame seeds. We're doing 60 grams of those. Our mixture is all stirred up. We're going to just let this rest while we get our baking sheet ready. I have my baking tray as well as a piece of parchment on top. This is a piece of parchment that I've used once before, but it's perfectly fine, so we'll use it again. This is quite a big batch of crackers, but I like to do it like this because it just saves me time in the long run because we go through these crackers so quickly. And just a side note, it's wild right now how much crackers are going for in the grocery store. Like, I love Mary's crackers, love them. And they're like $9 a box right now, so I'm not going to be able to justify that. This, even though we're baking it and it's not raw, it still has a lot of those amazing seeds and nutrients in it, so it's a great sub. I'm just going to pour on a bit of my batter, probably like about a third. And then I'm going to use one of these bad boys, one of these offset spatulas. These are great. If you don't have one of these, that's fine. You can use your other spatula. If you're using a regular spatula like this guy, I would suggest getting it very clean, and then you can use a little bit of water on it to just help it not stick to the batter. We're just going to use a spatula to spread this mixture across. You can make these crackers thicker, thinner, it doesn't matter. You're just going to be keeping an eye on them in the oven. I try to aim to see where the level is in the center of my pan because I do find that it can get a little thicker in the middle. So I try to push that thickness out to the edges because those cook faster anyways. All right, it's all spread out and it's ready for the oven. At this stage, you can honestly like sprinkle on some fresh cracked pepper, some more nutritional yeast. You could put any kind of like herbs on top of it, really whatever you want. I'm just gonna keep them like this. And I have my oven preheated to 350 right now. Do you like my oven mitts? These are tiny house oven mitts. They're so small. I'm just gonna throw these guys in there. Here in the tiny house, we are baking with a propane oven. It just means that the baking times for you might be slightly different than what I have to do here in the tiny house. This oven does not circulate the air. It has hot spots, so I just have to keep my eyes on things. So I'm gonna keep this guy in here for 10 minutes. I'm gonna pull it out and score it. Here we are at the first stage of baking. I will say that my oven dropped to 325, which is totally fine. For the rest of the baking time, it's going to be at 325. I am going to use a knife to score my crackers into squares. The crackers are all scored, and they're going back in the oven for another 10 minutes. We are at our second round of 10 minutes. I can smell all the amazing smells in here. They do need to go in just a little bit longer, so I'm gonna rotate mine again, and I'm gonna go for another 5. These are looking really good. I'm just gonna break them. So I like to touch them just to see if they're ready. And also another way to check is to just flip them over. They're nice and golden brown. They're usually pretty good. At this stage, you could absolutely pull these guys out of the oven, let them cool and package them. Or you could be like me and pop them in for 3 more minutes because you want them a little bit more golden. This is my last batch that I made, and just for reference, I do have some that are light, like the ones that are in the oven right now, and I do have some that are a little bit more golden. Here we have our kind of neglected remainder of dough. We have a very, very thick consistency now. You can see the difference between earlier. That's because the chia seeds, flax seeds, they've gelatinized and created more of a paste. This is 100% okay. And I guess I'm going to be spending the afternoon baking off the rest of these because I still have 2 more batches to go through the oven. Here's the color that I like my crackers at. This is just personal preference though, guys. You can do it however you want. At this stage, I like to transfer my crackers onto a cooling sheet so that this guy can cool off for a few minutes before I do the next round. And because I'm going to use the parchment again, I'm just going to slip that out. Ta-da! I won't make you stick around with me while I bake off the rest of the crackers, but I will say that I love these crackers and I hope that you try them. It literally tastes like there's cheese in them. I'm like, I haven't had cheese in a long time, but they taste like there's cheese in them. That is so wild. Before I leave you, I do want to show you how full this bowl gets with just 1 round of these crackers. Check that out. That is an entire bowl. This at the grocery store would cost you like $10. I'm fresh. The grocery store can kiss my butt.